Hey, good morning, YouTube. How's it going out there? Looks like you got the chat room fired up a little early this morning. Thanks for You Can Do It. Tommy Boy joining us this early. Give you guys a chance to catch up off the lag. That takes a minute. But looks like you got some big storms coming across the upper plains. Watch out for those tornadoes, lightning, things like that. Things that might injure yourselves. So hope everybody survived their Monday, such as it may have been. So there's your weather picture, looking pretty clear for most people, unless you're up in the Dakotas, Minnesota. Always be on the lookout for those afternoon thunderstorms. So I thought I'd start off with the informational article for your summer vacationing needs. Rip currents are an underrated danger. So if you're going to go to the beach, watch out. It's not the sharks you got to worry about. So this is just basically saying rip currents so far have been more deadly than tornadoes and lightning. Kind of like 5-gallon buckets are more dangerous than firearms. But rip currents are seen as, and how to survive a rip current. If you didn't know, swim parallel to shore, just in case. If you haven't been in the water that much, starts pulling you out. Don't fight it. Relax. Informational video. What do they call it? Educational, informational. Parallel, get out of the current, and then swim the angle to shore. And hope you have a lifeguard to come save you if you can't swim to shore. Don't ignore the signs and flags at the beach that say rip currents. I'm sure everybody's planning to go to the beach, right? Rip currents can develop, kind of explains it. On down. There was just a death this weekend in Florida off Cocoa Beach of a person drowning. 8 total have died in the USA so far. Don't have to worry about rip currents in Nevada. We don't have that issue so much, so good luck out there. I think most are on the East Coast. I don't know that I guess California probably has them. Just I think it has to do with the sea floor, more so being so close to it's being shallow. The further out you go, makes the rip currents more dangerous on the Atlantic, I think. Or maybe just people on the West Coast are more better swimmers. Who knows? Somebody do a study. So that's your informational article for the day for your, as it says, safety and preparedness for your summer vacation, as I would say. Hey, ZPD, thanks for jumping in. They have rip currents on Lake Michigan. That's crazy. I mean, you don't think of Lake Michigan as having currents. Like, that's serious right there. That's pretty crazy. It is a large body of water, though. So I guess that would go probably for most of the Great Lakes. So where to start this morning? We'll start over here with everybody leaving California. Obviously, we've been tracking this for a while. Ongoing issue. They'll almost pay you to take a rider truck back to California. So chased away by soaring home prices and cost of living, and don't forget taxes. Why they didn't put taxes up here, I don't know. Because especially business leaves California because of taxes. So as they're playing off of a Wall Street Journal op-ed posted that the new tax bill from California could have a max exodus of roughly 800,000 residents. We just keep them out of Nevada. Millions of people, thousands of businesses, and tens of billions of dollars of net income will flee the high-tax blue states for low-tax red states. That's their supposition. This is from again, quoted from the Wall Street Journal. This migration has been happening for years, but the Trump tax bill cap on the deduction for state and local taxes, or what they call SALT, will accelerate the pace. So notice that if you're in a high-tax state, you can no longer deduct your state taxes, and those high-tax states, people lose a lot more. The losers will be most of the Northeast, along with California. The winners are likely to be states like Arizona, Nevada, Tennessee, Texas, and Utah. Keep them out of Nevada. How are we the winners when we got these bunch of losers who just want to impose more big government on everybody because they didn't learn a lesson where they left? And I would say that's kind of generalizing, but maybe 40% of those leaving have some decent, good concept of the government is the problem. That's why they're leaving. They have woken up to that realization. Taxes aside, a new report, this is from called Next 10 and Beacon Economics, suggests that California exodus may get a lot worse as news has been tepid. And as a result, California faces a housing backlog of 3.4 million units by 2025. I don't know how they do those numbers. They do that around here. We have a housing shortage, which I get. You can figure some of it out by you have rising home prices. You have people out looking on the market. You can kind of poll real estate brokers and see how many customers they have. I mean, you can get some numbers, but looking forward to 2025, we'll be short 3.4 million houses. Like, how do you figure that out? Where are you going to put all those houses? Will be the next question. From 2027 to 2017, only 24.7 housing permits were filed for every 100 new residents, much lower than the average U.S. average of 43.1. And this is how they got their numbers from this article. Oh, snap. What are you doing, Zero Hedge? Reload. So California's current housing supply is not able to support its growing population. Neither is Nevada's. We know how you feel. This is where supply and demand becomes a huge issue. And even Zero Hedge isn't talking about the supply and demand issue. Interesting article. But yeah, where are they all going to go? Net domestic migration out of California is mostly tied to income, as most of those leaving the state earn less than $30,000 per year. Holy cow! How do you survive in California on only $30,000 a year? Do we have JMac in the side room yet? Doesn't look like it. Who we do? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can't imagine only making 30,000 in California just to move somewhere else and make less. Probably that's crazy. On the other hand, California saw the largest exodus of workers in accommodation, construction, manufacturing, and retail trade industries. But they were a high net importer of highly skilled professionals from the information, professional, and technical services. Basically, Google, YouTube, Microsoft, everybody going into Silicon Valley, sounds like. Here's their graphic breakdown of money earned and number migrating. Goodness, that's a hard bar to read. But this is your zero. This is people coming into the state. This is people losing the state below the line. And this is the income by the shaded color is the income of who's leaving and who's showing up. Basically, the purple is $150,000 or more, mostly up here on the top bar. Green is 30,000 to 50,000, mostly down here on the lower bar, and your orange is less than 30,000 in income, right in the middle of all below the in numbers of 20,000, 40,000 plus leaving California. That graphic is hard to follow. Whoever made that needs to be face some punishment of some sort. They took their statistics class way too seriously, maybe. Hey, good morning, M. Long. How you doing? Welcome. That is the last comment, right? Okay, yeah. So if you wonder why Californians are coming to your state or leaving anywhere in the Northeast, that kind of breaks that down as the whys and where they're going. Where do most Californians move? Texas, Arizona, Nevada, Oregon, and Washington. Basically, you can't get far if you're already broke, so you just get the next state over is about as far as you can go. If you're lucky, you get to Texas, I guess would be the way to look at it. So that's the information on that front. That's a pretty good breakdown. And to see where California is headed, let's jump over here to the Venezuela situation. This is out of Bloomberg this morning or yesterday evening. Yesterday evening. Venezuela's soldiers are deserting with the presidential election ahead. With all their issues we've been following and the case study of a collapsing socialist communist state. They have citing high desertion rates at bases in Caracas and a lot of officers joining the exodus to Colombia and Brazil. They're calling on retirees and the militia to fill the void. I wonder how the militia works in Venezuela. I wonder what they mean by that. How do they define militia? Do they actually have one, unlike us who are supposed to have one? This is 13 days away. The presidential election is 13 days away, which by law require military custody of electoral materials and machinery at voting centers. So the rigged elections will be harder to rig or less secure. I don't know how you look. It depends on how you look at that, I guess. The military's vacating the vote to expose the president. Maybe is there a lead of the security? That's interesting. The number of desertees is unknown because it used to be published officially, and it no longer is. They stopped publishing that number of desertions because it got too high, I guess. So they're training the fill-in retirees and militia members to get their election duties in order. Almost 2 million Venezuelans are now living outside Venezuela due to the flight out of the country. So the current president Maduro, kind of like how he consolidated power, yada yada. They have an estimated 14,000 voting sites. All have to be guarded by the armed forces and secured by the army and transported by them. That might be a tough challenge this year. At least 10,000 soldiers have asked to retire. Since 2015, there's been an increase in military detainees accused of treason, desertion, and other crimes. Estimated that there are 300 people who are imprisoned, mostly troops. A few are senior officers, and others are civilians linked to the military. Big problems. Anybody want to go down to Venezuela and video the elections? That could be an adventure. Many have tried to resign in recent days, and the regime has no room to jail them, and many are allowed to quit. So they can't jail them for desertion or dereliction of duty. They just let them go. That's rough times they're living in Venezuela. Hey, locked and loaded. Good morning. What's shaking, right? So that's we'll see in 2 weeks about the state of Venezuela at some point, I guess. The election's coming up May 20th. It looks like that that situation is not going to get better at all. Yeah, live looking video would be kind of useful on that end. All right, so for the final one I had selected for the day, you guys throw anything out there that you got? Talking about South Africa, looking that up today. This is out of Huffington Post, New Zealand edition, maybe. How South Africa should tackle the redistribution of urban land. So get the good communist perspective on how we should do this. So yeah, this is the opposing, I guess, the opposite viewpoint that most of us would take if you don't redistribute land. This is about racial and income inequality and creating fairness, if there is such a thing. As we've been talking about the land seizures by the South African government the last couple of months, taking it from the farmers to redistribute as they see fit, which there are probably no cronyism involved in that at all, I'm sure. They have resolved to accelerate that redistribution without compensation where necessary, which pretty much means all of it without compensation because they can't afford it probably. So their hypothesis here, genuine land reform requires a shift in the country's approach to urban land. It can't be seen simply in terms of its market value and its potential for profit. Land's social and redress value must be considered. Can only imagine what that means. Going into suburban areas, making them into slums, or what? What's their proposal here? Yeah, this is definitely a good communist take on how to redistribute land. There's a real possibility of the land debate being hijacked for a political party or elite gain rather than a genuinely redistributive agenda for poor and working class people. South Africans need to pay attention to the voices dominating land debates and constantly ask, land reform for whom? I don't know if South Africans are allowed to question their government, are they? Didn't work out so well for the farmers who are questioning their government. So I guess by urban land, they mean areas that are better well off within the cities. It needs to be redistributed to make it equally poor for everybody. Urban land reform. Urban lands tend to be hidden in other urban development sectors, such as housing planning. The expropriation without compensation debate might be changing that. Redistribution as an urban land issue as well. Oh, come on, get to the point of what you really mean. Yeah, they never get around to what they really mean. Yeah, here's good public land in the cities is being sold for profit by the government, while land in well-located suburbs is not considered for public housing. Would you agree that the country's provinces and city municipalities haven't pursued brave and progressive approaches to urban land? So basically, yeah, you put Section 8 housing in well-to-do suburbs, and it's all fair and equal, right? That's what they're proposing here. Make everybody equally miserable. Eliminate all appearances that anybody ever at any point was better well off than somebody else, because it was all misgotten gains, right? Nobody actually earned any of that. I mean, that's their supposition. Is it? It's not a earning. You can't earn that stuff. It's got to be equally distributed so that everybody's equal. Social justice. Yeah, full on communism in full right in front of you. The whole article. They got like 4 or 5 different people come in these down here on the side, different commenters here as part of the article. I don't know who they are, but it just mentions them as a question and answer, it looks like. So not only are we going to take all the land from the farmers to say that we're going to redistribute it, we're going to come after the suburbs as well to make you as miserable as everywhere else. For a brave new world. Truly the brave new world. So there's a good article for you of good communist doctrine to get you through your work day. We're about ready to wrap it up. Anybody else got anything happening in their area want to bring up, or anything they're seeing on the radar that piqued their interest? Send Antifa to live in Venezuela. Right, locked and loaded, they would die in the jungle, I'm sure. After they got ran out of the city for their issues, they would die out there in the jungle somewhere. Yeah, there was a blog post from a guy from Australia, uh, posted 2 or 3 days ago. Um, Talked about a guy getting drug out of his vehicle in South Africa and beaten, just for being white. Kind of just like the reverse of all the reverse, racist claims that you hear every day. It was exactly what it was, basically, just because he was white. There are definitely roving gangs in South Africa. I think the volcano continues in Hawaii. I'm sure we'll know if it starts to get better there, but it's probably going to be a while. Tommy Boy planting trees is always good. Good idea. Hey, caregiver. Good morning. How you doing? Tyranny running wild. Yes, indeed. Hey, you folks up there in Michigan, watch out. You like got a big storm rolling your way coming out of Minnesota. If that's how that storm's going to move, that's coming your way, it looks like, potentially. So watch out. You don't know. You get tornadoes up that far north sometimes, don't you? It looks like it'd be one of those storms that would have that potential. But tyranny does run amok, and often it seems like it's more and more encouraged by the masses as well. It's encouraged to run amok. Strange as that sounds. We'll try to keep an eye on the China situation as that continues to play out. Lots of that in the zero hedge today. Yeah, that too, Tommy Boy, right? Yeah, the mentally ill are running amok amongst us as well. The tyranny is promoting the insanity. So be on the watch for those oil prices, high gas prices, all that good stuff. We will get back to you folks tomorrow. Y'all stay out of trouble. We'll see you back. Live free.